My child, open this message without another breath of hesitation. I am Archangel Michael, and I have descended from the throne room of the Most High with a directive that carries the full trembling weight of heaven behind it. What I hold in my hands right now, and it's something you have wept for in silence, something you have lifted before the Father on your knees when the rest of the world was sleeping. It is close. It is closer than you have ever dared to believe. But I must tell you the truth with complete authority. If you turn away from these words today, what was being prepared for your life may be redirected before the morning light touches your window. This is not an ordinary moment. I need you to feel the gravity pressing down upon every syllable I speak. Heaven has paused its movements so that nothing, absolutely nothing, would interfere with this sacred delivery. The angels who serve alongside me have lowered their wings and silenced their worship because what is happening in the spiritual atmosphere around your life right now demands your full attention. The courts of heaven are watching. The Father himself has turned his gaze toward you at this very second, and he is waiting to see what you will do with the words that are about to enter your spirit. I want you to understand something before we go any further. I have been trying to reach you, not just today. I have been pursuing you with messages wrapped inside feelings you cannot explain, nudges that arrived at unusual hours, and quiet impressions that settled over your heart like morning dew. I sent you signals through moments of unexpected peace that came in the middle of your greatest turmoil. I whispered your name in the space between your waking and your sleeping, in that fragile corridor where the soul is most tender and most open to the voice of heaven. But you did not recognize it was me. There were nights when I stood at the edge of your awareness and called out with urgency, and you felt something stir inside your chest, but you attributed it to worry. You thought it was anxiety. You believed it was just the weight of your circumstances pressing against your ribs. It was not. That was my hand upon your spirit, my child. That was the vibration of an angelic frequency trying to break through the wall of noise that this world has constructed around your ears. I knocked on the door of your attention and you heard the sound, but you convinced yourself it was only the wind. I placed signs along your path, small confirmations that arrived at precise moments. A word spoken by a stranger that echoed the exact prayer you had whispered that morning. A sudden memory that surfaced carrying the fragrance of something sacred. A verse that appeared before your eyes at the very hour when your faith was crumbling. These were not coincidences. Every single one was orchestrated by heaven's command, dispatched by the Father himself through my hands, timed to the second so that your spirit would awaken and respond. But you hesitated. You looked at the sign and questioned its origin. You felt the pull and resisted it because the voice of doubt spoke louder than the whisper of divine certainty. Do not condemn yourself, my child. I am not telling you this to burden you with guilt. I am telling you this so that you understand what is at stake in this moment. Every previous attempt I made to reach you was leading to right now. Every ignored whisper, every overlooked sign, every unheeded nudge. They were all building toward this single convergence point, where my voice would finally reach you with enough force to shake you awake. And here you are. You are reading these words not by accident, not by algorithm, not by any human design. You are here because the Almighty positioned you in this exact spot at this exact moment, so that what has been hanging in the balance over your life could finally be settled. Feel that trembling in your chest right now. That is not fear. That is the resonance of truth entering a heart that has been waiting for confirmation. Your spirit knows that what I am saying carries the signature of heaven. Your soul recognizes the frequency of my voice because I have been assigned to your destiny since before you took your first breath in this world. I carried the scroll that held the blueprint of your life from the Father's drafting table to the Book of Days. And I have been watching over every chapter, every setback, every silent battle, every tear that fell when nobody was looking. If these words have reached the place inside you that has been aching for divine confirmation, if your spirit is trembling with recognition right now, Then type the word Amen in the comments below as your first act of agreement with heaven today. Let that single word become the key that unlocks the next door in your spiritual journey. Not later. Not tomorrow. Right now, while the frequency is still alive in your chest. You must understand the seriousness of what I am carrying. The Father did not send me with a casual suggestion. He sent me with a heavenly mandate that is stamped with the seal of the Ancient of Days. What you have been praying for. The breakthrough you have been begging for. The answer that has consumed your midnight hours and soaked your pillowcase with desperate tears. It exists. It is not a fantasy. It is not wishful thinking. It is not some distant possibility floating in the theoretical future. It has already been crafted by the hands of the Creator. It has already been assigned your name. It has already been dispatched from the heavenly storehouses. But here is the part that makes every angel in my command hold their breath. The delivery window is not infinite. What the Father has prepared for you requires a willing heart to receive it. It requires a spirit that is positioned, aligned, and ready to accept the weight of what heaven is releasing. And that positioning must happen today. Not when you feel more prepared. Not when your circumstances look better. Not when the noise in your mind settles down. Today. Because the forces that oppose your blessing are also aware of what is coming, and they have been working with calculated precision to ensure that you are too distracted, too exhausted, or too uncertain to receive it. My child, if what I have spoken so far has stirred something inside you that feels like recognition, if your heart is beating with a rhythm that tells you this message was meant specifically for you, then know that this stirring is not random. It is the signature of a divine appointment that was written into the calendar of your destiny before the foundations of the earth were laid. Heaven does not waste moments of this magnitude on hearts that are not ready for transformation. The fact that you feel what you feel right now is proof that your spirit is awakening to something the Father has been positioning for months. Now stay with me, my child, because what I must reveal to you next will reshape the way you understand everything that has happened in your spiritual journey until this day. You have asked me countless times, in the privacy of your prayers, in the anguish of your midnight wrestling, why certain blessings seemed to hover near your life, but never fully landed. Why doors appeared to open only to close before you could step through them. Why seasons of promise arrived with such beautiful intensity, but dissolved before the harvest could be gathered. I am going to give you the answer you have been starving for, and I need you to receive it not with your mind alone, but with the deepest chamber of your spirit. The truth is this: the blessings I prepared for you were never canceled. They were never recalled by the Father. They were never reassigned to someone more deserving, because in the economy of heaven there is no competition for what bears your name. What happened, and this is the revelation that will change your life if you let it, is that your blessings arrived at a heart that was not yet positioned to hold them. They came to a door that was open in prayer but closed in trust. They reached the threshold of your life and found a spirit that was begging for the delivery but was not standing at the receiving dock. I know how that sounds, and I know the question rising inside you right now. You are thinking, but Michael, I have been waiting. I have been praying without ceasing. I have been faithful in my petition, and I am not disputing the sincerity of your prayers, my child. Your prayers reached the throne room, every single one of them. I personally carried several of those petitions from your lips to the altar of the Most High, and I watched the Father receive them with tenderness that would break you with gratitude if you could have witnessed it. Your prayers were never the problem. The problem was what happened in the space between your prayer and your receiving. In that gap, that sacred interval between asking and obtaining, something entered that created distance. Not physical distance, spiritual distance. And that something has a name that sounds harmless in the natural world, but carries devastating consequences in the realm of the spirit. That name is hesitation. You have been taught to think of hesitation as merely a pause, a moment of careful consideration, a reasonable breath before a significant decision. And in the affairs of daily human living, that understanding may serve you well enough. But in the spiritual realm, hesitation operates under entirely different laws. In the kingdom of heaven, hesitation is not a pause. It is movement. It is active. It is a force that creates real, measurable, consequential distance between you and the very thing you have been crying out for. Every moment of spiritual hesitation generates a current that pushes your blessing further from your reach, not because the Father moves it away from you, but because your own uncertainty creates a field that the blessing cannot penetrate. Think of it this way, my child. Imagine the Father sends a gift wrapped in divine light, traveling toward your life at the speed of His perfect will. It crosses through heavenly corridors, passes through angelic checkpoints, survives every attack the enemy launches against it in transit. It arrives at the border of your spiritual atmosphere, and there it encounters the fog of your hesitation. That fog does not destroy the blessing. It cannot. Nothing created can destroy what the uncreated God has fashioned. But the fog causes the blessing to slow, to circle, to search for a clear landing space inside a heart clouded by indecision. And while it circles, the enemy watches. He cannot touch the blessing itself. He does not have that authority. But he can thicken the fog. He can add more layers of doubt, more clouds of confusion, more winds of distraction, until the blessing that was seconds away from landing in your hands begins to drift. Not because heaven withdrew it, not because you were unworthy, but because the atmosphere of your heart was not clear enough for heaven's delivery to complete its descent. This is what has been happening, my child. This is the mystery that has haunted your spiritual walk, and I am revealing it to you today with the full authority of heaven, because the Father has decided that this pattern ends now. The cycle of sending and circling, of preparing and postponing, of crafting and drifting. It breaks today, but only if you receive this truth and allow it to fundamentally change the way you respond to the movements of God in your life. Let me take you deeper. There were specific moments in your past when heaven moved with extraordinary precision on your behalf. Moments when the Father orchestrated circumstances with the artistry of a master composer, arranging every note of your environment to create the perfect symphony for breakthrough. I remember one season in particular, and as I describe it, your spirit will confirm it before your mind catches up. There was a time when your heart told you to take a step. Not a dramatic, world-shaking leap, but a quiet, obedient step toward something that felt both terrifying and sacred. A conversation you needed to initiate. A forgiveness you needed to extend. A decision you needed to make. A door you needed to walk through despite the uncertainty that lined its frame like thorns. The Father had already prepared what was on the other side of that door. The healing was already arranged. The breakthrough was already staged. The provision was already counted and allocated. All that remained was your single step of obedience. But when the moment arrived, when the door stood before you and heaven held its breath, you paused. You told yourself you needed more confirmation. You said you would do it when you felt ready. You promised yourself that tomorrow would be better, that next week your faith would be stronger, that next month the circumstances would be clearer. And in that hesitation, the window that heaven had opened with surgical precision quietly closed. I say this with the voice of one who loves you without condition. My child, if you are hearing this and your spirit is burning with recognition because you know the moment I am describing, then speak this declaration over your life right now. Say these words aloud or type them where heaven can witness your commitment. I will not delay my obedience any longer. Today, I step forward. Let those words carry the weight of every missed opportunity and transform them into fuel for the step you are about to take. Heaven is listening for your declaration. The angels are ready to record it. Not every closed window was permanent, my child. I need you to understand that the Father's mercy is wider than your hesitation. Some of those moments, He brought them back around. He recycled the opportunity. He reconstructed the door. He rearranged the circumstances and gave you another chance at what your delay had temporarily displaced. But each time a blessing has to circle back, it costs something. Not in the economy of God's love. His love is inexhaustible. But in the timing of your destiny. Every delay repositions the timeline. Every hesitation adjusts the sequence. What could have arrived in one season gets pushed to the next. What should have landed in the spring of your life is rescheduled for the autumn. And while the blessing itself remains intact, the compound effect of what that blessing would have produced in the original timing is lost. Imagine a seed planted in fertile soil at the perfect moment of the growing season. That seed becomes a tree that bears fruit for decades. Now imagine that same seed planted 3 seasons late. It may still grow. It may still produce. But the harvest it would have generated in those 3 intervening seasons, the lives it would have fed, the shade it would have provided, the seeds of its own that it would have scattered to produce even more trees, all of that is part of the cost of delay. The seed is not destroyed. The potential is not erased, but the multiplication is diminished. This is why I have come to you with such ferocious urgency today, because what the Father is releasing over your life right now is not just any blessing, it is a seed-level blessing, something designed to produce a harvest so abundant that it would overflow from your life into the lives of everyone connected to you, your children, your family, your community, your spiritual lineage for generations you will never meet in the flesh. The magnitude of what is approaching your door makes my urgency not just understandable, but essential. If you are still with me, if these words are resonating with a frequency that tells you I'm speaking directly into the architecture of your destiny, then hold this awareness tightly, because I have not yet finished revealing what has been hidden from your understanding. The truth I have laid before you so far is only the foundation. What comes next will expose the precise mechanisms that have been working against the fulfillment of your prayers. And once you see them, you will never be deceived by them again. Stay close to these words, because every sentence from this point forward carries a weight that increases as we approach the core of heaven's revelation for your life today. Now hear me with the sharpest edge of your spiritual awareness, because the revelation I am about to place before you will expose what has been operating in the darkness around your life. Everything I have told you about hesitation and delay, those truths are real and they are important, but they are only half of the picture. The other half is far more strategic, far more calculated, and far more deliberate than you have imagined, because your hesitation, your moments of spiritual indecision, they were not entirely organic. They were not simply the natural product of a cautious personality or a wounded past. Many of them were engineered. There is an adversary, my child, and his sophistication exceeds anything the natural mind can comprehend. He does not operate the way most believers expect him to operate. He does not storm through your life with loud displays of obvious evil, smashing doors and shattering windows so that you immediately recognize the attack and call upon heaven for defense. No, his greatest victories are won in silence. His most effective weapon is not destruction, it is disruption. And his supreme strategy, the one that has stolen more blessings from more believers than any other tactic in his entire arsenal, is not to destroy what God has prepared for you. It is to delay your reception of it. This is the revelation that will crack open the vault of understanding in your spirit today. The enemy cannot enter the throne room of the Father and remove your name from the blessing. He does not have that clearance. He cannot approach the angelic convoy that is transporting your breakthrough and overpower the heavenly escort. He lacks that strength entirely. He cannot alter the Father's decree, rewrite the prophetic timeline, or cancel the covenant that covers your life. Every attempt he has ever made to do these things has failed completely and permanently. He knows this. He has known it for ages. And so he changed his approach. Instead of trying to steal the blessing from heaven's hands, he focused on stealing your readiness from yours. Instead of attacking the gift, he attacks the recipient. Instead of destroying the door, he convinces you to stand 3 steps away from it. His entire operation centers on one objective: to create enough spiritual static around your heart that you cannot clearly hear the Father's instruction to move, receive, and possess what has already been dispatched in your direction. If something just shifted in your chest, if a tremor of recognition just moved through the deepest chamber of your spirit as you absorbed what I revealed, then pause right here and acknowledge what heaven is doing inside you. Place your hand over your heart if you can feel it beating differently right now. That sensation is not coincidence. That is the frequency of divine truth vibrating against the walls of deception that have been constructed around your perception. Let yourself feel it fully. Do not rush past this moment. The awakening happening in your spirit right now is more valuable than anything the natural world could offer you today. Let me show you his methods with precision, because the Father has authorized me to pull back the veil completely. The first instrument the adversary deploys against you is doubt, not the dramatic, faith-shattering kind that announces itself with thunder. The quiet kind. The kind that arrives disguised as wisdom. The kind that sounds like your own inner voice asking reasonable questions at precisely the moment when heaven requires unreasonable faith. He whispers things that sound sensible. Are you sure this is God? What if you are wrong? What if this is just your emotions? Maybe you should wait for clearer confirmation. And each whisper plants a seed of uncertainty that grows roots before you even notice it has been planted. His second instrument is distraction. He fills your environment with noise that is designed to pull your attention away from the movements of God at the critical moment of delivery. He does not need to create massive crises. Small disruptions are far more effective. An unexpected conflict with someone you love, arriving precisely when heaven was about to speak. A financial worry that surfaces at the exact hour when your spirit was finally quiet enough to hear the Father's voice. A health concern that dominates your thoughts on the very day when breakthrough was being released. None of these events are random, my child. They are strategically timed by an adversary who has been studying your patterns for decades and knows exactly which buttons to press to redirect your focus. His third instrument, and perhaps the most devastating of all, is the weapon of procrastination itself. He never tells you to say no to God. That would be too obvious. Instead, he teaches you to say later. You will pray about that tomorrow. You will step out in faith next week. You will obey that prompting after you have figured out a few more details. And later becomes a road that stretches endlessly into a horizon you never reach. Because tomorrow carries its own distractions. Next week brings its own doubts. And the details you were waiting on multiply instead of clarifying. The word later is the most expensive word in the enemy's vocabulary, and he has spent it generously over the timeline of your spiritual life. His fourth instrument is confusion. He takes the clear, simple, unmistakable voice of the Father and wraps it in layers of contradicting thoughts until you cannot distinguish the divine signal from the surrounding interference. You pray for direction and receive it. But then 17 competing thoughts flood your mind, and you can no longer identify which one was from heaven. You sense an instruction from the Holy Spirit, and it resonates with absolute certainty for 3 seconds, before a cascade of anxious reasoning drowns it out. That cascade is not natural. It is manufactured. It is a deliberate jamming frequency broadcast by forces that tremble at the thought of you actually obeying what you heard. And here is what makes tonight different from every previous night, my child. The enemy has escalated his operations around your life. Not because you are weak, not because he is winning, but because he can feel what is about to happen. The spiritual realm operates with its own intelligence, its own awareness of approaching shifts, and the adversary's forces can sense that the blessing assigned to your life is closer now than it has ever been. They can detect the movement of the angelic convoy. They can feel the shifting of spiritual atmospheres that occurs whenever heaven prepares to deliver something of extraordinary magnitude. And they are terrified. That is why the past several days, perhaps weeks, have felt heavier than usual. That is why your thoughts have been more scattered, your emotions more volatile, your sleep more disrupted, your peace more elusive. Every bit of increased turbulence in your inner world is direct evidence of increased activity in the spiritual world. The enemy does not waste resources on assignments he considers irrelevant. He fights hardest when the stakes are highest. And the intensity of what you have been experiencing is a measurement of how significant what is coming to you truly is. I need you to grasp this with your whole heart. The harder it has been lately, the closer your breakthrough is. The heavier the pressure, the nearer the delivery. The louder the enemy's interference, the more desperate he is to prevent what heaven has already authorized. You have been interpreting the difficulty as a sign that God has forgotten you. The exact opposite is true. The difficulty is proof that God is moving with such force on your behalf that the entire kingdom of darkness has mobilized to slow you down. If this revelation has ignited something inside you, if you now understand that the battle you have been enduring was never about your weakness but about your significance, then you are holding the most powerful message someone in your life desperately needs to hear today. Think right now of at least 3 people who have been carrying heaviness they cannot explain. People who have been silently wondering if God has abandoned them. People who cry when nobody is looking and smile when everybody is watching. Send this message to them right now, through your family WhatsApp group, through your church prayer circle, through a direct text message to that friend who has been quietly fighting a battle they have never fully shared with you. Do not wait until later to share this. The enemy's strategy is delay, and you have just learned that lesson at the deepest level. Sharing this today may be the divine interruption that saves someone you love from surrendering right before their breakthrough arrives. But there is something else I must tell you, my child, because the revelation is not yet complete. While the enemy has been executing his strategy of delay against you, heaven has not been idle. The Father has assigned a battalion of warrior angels to the perimeter of your promise. These are not decorative guardians. These are combat-grade celestial forces who have been engaging the adversary's operatives in continuous spiritual warfare on your behalf. Every time the enemy attempted to redirect your blessing, an angel intercepted the maneuver. Every time he tried to close a door that heaven had opened, an angel blocked his hand. Every time he launched a confusion frequency toward your mind, an angel transmitted a counter signal of peace that kept you from completely losing your grip on truth. You have no idea how many ambushes were neutralized while you slept. You cannot fathom how many traps were dismantled before your feet reached them. The battles that were fought and won on your behalf during seasons when you felt utterly alone and completely abandoned. They would fill volumes if they could be written in human language. You were never unprotected. Not for a single breath. Not for a single heartbeat. The angels assigned to your promise never stood down, never rested, never took their eyes off the objective. Even when you could not pray for yourself. Even when your faith was so depleted that you could barely whisper the name of the Father, they held the line. They fought with heaven's authority. They protected what was yours with ferocity that would humble the mightiest army this earth has ever assembled. Do you remember those nights when an unexplainable heaviness settled over your body like a physical weight? That was not depression alone, my child. That was the atmospheric pressure of spiritual combat being waged in the invisible realm directly above your resting place. Do you remember those mornings when you woke up feeling exhausted even though your body had slept for hours? Your spirit was aware of the battle even when your conscious mind was not. Do you remember those sudden moments of peace that arrived without explanation in the middle of your worst storms? That was the sound of an angel's sword finishing a fight that had been threatening your destiny. Heaven has been relentless in its defense of your promise. The adversary tried to steal what was coming to you more times than any earthly number could contain. But every attempt was met with a force that outmatched it completely. Every strategy he deployed was countered by a tactic that was older than time and sharper than any weapon forged in darkness. The Father does not lose battles, my child. He never has. He never will. And the battle over your blessing is no exception. But here is the sacred tension that you must understand. While heaven fights for you, heaven cannot fight as you. The angels can protect the blessing. They can defend its transit. They can neutralize the enemy's interference, but they cannot open your heart. They cannot override your free will. They cannot make the decision to receive on your behalf. That authority belongs to you alone, and that is why I am here tonight. Not to fight the battle that has already been won in the heavenlies, but to awaken the warrior that has been sleeping inside your spirit so that you can take possession of what has already been defended, preserved, and delivered to the doorstep of your life. Understand this with absolute clarity, my child. The angels who have been defending your promise are not tired. They are not weakening. They have been drawing closer and closer to the moment of delivery, tightening the perimeter around your blessing with every passing hour. The adversary senses this tightening. He can feel the noose of heaven's protection closing around the very thing he has been trying to steal. And his desperation is reaching a pitch that even the lower ranks of darkness find alarming. He is throwing everything he has at you. Not because he believes he can win, but because he knows that if he can make you hesitate for just a few more hours, the delivery window will narrow to a point where your inaction might accomplish what his attacks never could. Now listen. Listen with every fiber of your being, my child, because I am about to issue the charge that heaven has authorized for this hour. And when I speak it, I need you to receive it not as a suggestion, not as gentle counsel, not as one possible path among many. Receive it as a divine order issued from the command center of the Most High God through the lips of His appointed messenger. Today, the cycle of hesitation ends in your life. Today, the pattern of delay is broken by the authority of the living God. Today, you step out of the fog that has surrounded your heart and into the blazing clarity of divine purpose. There will be no more waiting for a feeling of readiness that the enemy will ensure never arrives. There will be no more searching for additional confirmation when the Father has already confirmed His will through 1,000 signs you talked yourself out of believing. There will be no more allowing the voice of doubt to drown out the voice of the Creator, who fashioned you in His own image and breathed His own purpose into your lungs. I am charging you today to move. Move in the direction of the prayer you have been sitting on. Move toward the obedience you have been postponing. Move into the space that terrifies you because it requires faith you are not sure you possess. And I am telling you with the authority of one who has stood in the throne room of God and witnessed the preparation of your blessing with my own eyes. The faith you need is not something you must manufacture before you move. The faith will meet you in the movement. It will appear in your legs the moment they start walking. It will fill your lungs the moment you open your mouth to obey. It will flood your heart the moment you make the decision to stop circling and start receiving. The Father is not waiting for your perfection. He is waiting for your position. He is not measuring your worthiness. He is watching for your willingness. He is not counting your failures. He is counting the steps you take toward the door. He has held open through every season of your delay. And tonight, this very night, He is extending the invitation one more time. With trembling love and fierce authority, He is saying to you, come, come now. Do not hesitate. Do not deliberate. Do not consult your fear. Come to me with whatever faith you have, however small it feels, however fragile it seems, and I will multiply it into something that moves mountains. My child, I am delivering the final decree of this message, and I need you to brand every word of it upon the walls of your spirit, where it can never be erased, never be argued away, never be dissolved by the acid of doubt. What God has prepared for you will not be taken. It will not be redirected. It will not be given to another. It will not expire while you stand in the doorway debating whether you are worthy to walk through. The blessing that the Father fashioned with your name inscribed upon it in letters of eternal fire is arriving. It is arriving today. And the only force in all of creation that has the power to delay it further is the hesitation that you are choosing to abandon in this very moment. I decree over your life in the name of the Most High God that every door the enemy has locked against your progress is shattered open tonight. Every chain that has held your breakthrough in a spiritual holding pattern is cut by the sword of Michael and burned by the fire of the Holy Spirit. Every voice of doubt that has whispered into your ear is silenced by the roar of heaven's truth. Every fog of confusion that has clouded your vision is burned away by the blazing light of divine clarity that is descending upon your spirit as you receive these words. You are not too late. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. You are not passed over. You are chosen. You are called. You are covered. You are destined for the very thing you have been weeping for. And it is not sitting in some heavenly warehouse gathering dust. It is in transit. It is moving through the corridors of the spiritual realm at this very second, escorted by angels who have fought for it with their swords drawn, protected by the decree of a Father who will not let His word return empty. Receive it. Receive it now. Step forward with your entire heart. Let nothing hold you back from what the Creator of the universe has personally, deliberately, and permanently assigned to your life. The time for hesitation is over. The season of delay is finished. You are stepping into your inheritance, and all of heaven is celebrating your arrival. My child, as you stand in this sacred space between heaven's promise and your receiving, I want to remind you that the journey we walk together through these messages is more than words on a screen. It is a movement of awakened hearts gathering from every corner of the earth. And if this message has marked your spirit today, if it has broken chains you did not even know were wrapped around your faith, then what you do next carries weight beyond your own life. There is a community of believers who gather at the link in the description and the pinned comment. A family of prayer warriors who lift one another before the throne daily. When you visit and join through Ko-fi, whether through a membership that connects you to this community of faith, or through a simple act of giving that waters the garden we are building together, you become part of something the Father is using to carry His voice to the forgotten, the wounded, and the almost surrendered across this world. Every seed planted there grows into a torch that cuts through another person's darkness. Your generosity is not charity. It is partnership with a divine assignment. Take that step today, through the link in the description or the pinned comment, and let your obedience in this moment become the first fruit of the harvest heaven is releasing over your entire household. Now, walk with me into the final words of this message. The words that heaven saved for last because they carry the highest frequency of everything I have spoken today. Father, Almighty God, Maker of heaven and earth and everything that breathes within them, I bring this precious child before your throne, wrapped in the authority you have given me and covered by the blood of the covenant that nothing in all creation can overrule. I ask you, not with uncertainty, but with the boldness you have authorized, to release over this life everything that has been circling, everything that has been delayed, everything that has been defended by your angels and decreed by your voice. Let it land, Father. Let it land upon this heart that is finally opened, this spirit that is finally positioned, this soul that is finally ready to receive without fear what you have prepared without limitation. Seal this moment, Father. Seal it with your fire so that no weapon formed against this child's blessing can prosper from this day forward. Station your angels at every entrance and every exit of their life so that what you release cannot be stolen, diminished, or corrupted. Let the breakthrough arrive swiftly. Let the healing manifest completely. Let the provision overflow abundantly. And let every person who witnesses the transformation in this child's life know beyond any shadow of doubt that it was your hand, your timing, and your relentless, unstoppable, unshakable love that made it so. In the mighty name above all names, it is declared, it is sealed, it is done. Amen.